Welcome back to the Unconnoisseur channel, everybody. I'm one of your co-hosts, Drew, and today we're going to ask Matt to talk a little bit about one of the books that we came across early in our journey. It's a book by Jerry Coker, and its title is How to Listen to Jazz. Some of the things in this book that we're going to ask Matt to talk about are some of the criteria that we've used throughout our process of this year listening to the albums. And so, without further ado, Matt, take it away. Again, the book is Jerry Coker's book, How to Listen to Jazz. Matt, what's your thoughts?
You know, there's a section on page 72 that talks about the criteria for appreciation. And us being the unconnoisseurs, we're coming at it with this attitude that yes, we're listening to the music and how it makes us feel, but with a criteria, I think it will give us some better general knowledge of how to appreciate the music, how we can better. I don't want to say criticize because we said from the very beginning we weren't going to criticize the albums or the artist or their work,
Right?
but how to evaluate things and appreciate things. So, in the coming weeks, we'll talk a little more about Jerry Coker's book. We'll talk a little bit more about the criteria for appreciation, and then even earlier in the book, there was some criteria that Drew and I started using um, the week that we started reading the book, and I had it highlighted. I can't find it now, but it was the creativity of the artist. It was the
Creativity, the
I'm trying
awareness,
the
the
awareness.
craftsmanship, and spirit and drive.
Yep. And then we added one later, the emotion. How did it make you feel? So the craftsmanship, the awareness, the creativity, the spirit, and then we added our own in our journey, the emotion. How did it make you feel? So be looking for those tidbits along the way. If you get a chance to pick up a copy of Jerry Coker's book, How to Listen to Jazz, man, start that on your journey too, because I've got mine highlighted. This was actually a used book I got for $1.78 on Amazon, and spending $1.78 for a book, I don't want to destroy the book, but I do want to make notes and highlight. And there's my craftsmanship, awareness, creativity, and spirit. But man, this book has helped me dramatically learn how to listen to jazz. Now, there's a lot of technical detail in there too that sometimes got over my head. I'm not going to lie, but there's some names in here that you may see coming up in the journey. Uh, Lenny Trist, Lenny Tristano Sextet, Herbie Hancock. He talks about Miles Davis quite a bit, and so you get to reading this book and you start rabbit holing down some of those artists, and don't be surprised if you see them on the list.
Yeah, boy. Thanks so much, Matt. I appreciate your passion on this book and our passion on these books. This one and the next one that we'll talk about have been so phenomenal. I've always appreciated in our conversations being able to talk about the craftsmanship and the awareness, the creativity, and the spirit behind this. There's so many great artists putting so much passion out there, and the way in which we hear it is part of that. How did I feel listening to it? And the emotional part of that is both, can you hear the emotion from the soloist, from the musician, from the album, and how does it make you feel? What a crucial element in this conversation that we've had over the last year. One of the things that I always want to go back to looking in Jerry's book is the last bit after he breaks this down on page 3, craftsmanship, awareness, creativity, and spirit. And then there's something that I think became relevant to me along this way. And I'm just going to read it on page 3. Frequently, the listener is confronted with a reputedly great performance he cannot understand or evaluate, usually because his memory bank of oral experiences does not encompass what he is now hearing. And basically, you don't know what you don't know. And until you've put it in your memory bank and begin to know what you do know, it doesn't make any sense. I think that was one of the best parts about this book is just letting us know up front. Until you've had a chance to listen to the music, You'll never know what you're listening to. So, y'all dig into the music, chase the albums of your list, chase the albums on our list, but just go out and chase some jazz music and enjoy it. Thanks again for tuning in to the Unconnoisseur channel. Matt, thanks so much for going over the book with us. And again, in time, we will talk more about this book and some of the elements. Go read it for yourself so that when we do, you have a greater appreciation of our opinions. Thanks again. Cheers, everybody.